All right, we should be going live right now. Hey guys, hope you guys are all having a good Monday. Let me tweet out the live stream really quick, and then we'll jump into it. Only 2 games to talk about, but this is a good slate, right? We've dealt with some not so good slates. I feel like the last few days, like we've had to deal with a lot of blowout risk and stuff like that. This slate, I think it looks pretty good for a 2-game slate. So give me 1 second here. All right, so if you guys are new to the channel, new to the live stream, how it works is I'll go over all the news that we have for the day. So what we're waiting for now is Eric Bledsoe news. That is key because it makes George Hill probably the best value play. Would maybe makes a guy like Pat Connaughton more viable as a really cheap option too. So that's what we're waiting on right now. Let's take a look at some of these the Vegas numbers. So they're pretty similar. We have Heat Bucks at 224 over under. The Bucks are 5-point favorites. Rockets Thunder, it's a 226 over under. The Thunder are 5.5-point favorites. So I'll try to keep an eye on the Bledsoe news in the chat as I give this. Okay, so Heat starting Dragic, Butler, Robinson, Crowder, and Bam, their normal starters. No real surprise there. So again, I'll try to keep an eye on the chat and to see what we got here. DK the GOAT. Hey, thanks. Appreciate that, Cam. Let's get it. SGA season. Is he going to be chalk? If SGA is chalk, you know he's going to bust. I think the ownership drops on him a lot after busting that last game when he was chalk. So I'll get to that more in a sec, though. All right, so Miami, Milwaukee. This game should be really fun to watch. Both teams are solid defensively, but Milwaukee plays at a faster pace, so I'm not concerned about targeting players in a game like this, and especially it's a 2-game slate, so it's not like you can go full game stack in the late game and hope for a blowout or hope for overtime, but I think both games are very, very similar. So I want some pretty even exposure to both personally, unless, again, you're going that route of you're hoping for overtime, you're hoping for a blowout in one of the games, which it's viable, right? We saw a blowout Houston OKC the last game. I don't think it's going to happen again, though. So on the Miami side, we have Jimmy Butler at the top at 8-1. Right now, I've looked at this slate for a long time, and I think the optimal build right now is balanced. So that, I think, is the safest route to go, and that's the direction I'm going on this slate. Now, does it make me scared fading a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo? Does it make me scared of fading Harden? Of course, I'm scared, but there is not basically any value. If Bledsoe plays, then that doesn't completely take a lot of play, but makes him way less valuable. And this is there's nothing. Iguodala is going to get ownership just because there's literally no value. So right now, my approach to this slate is I'm going balanced. I feel more comfortable with that. So Jimmy Butler is a guy at 8-1 that I like. I think the ownership is not going to be that high in him because of the shoulder injury. I mentioned that in my video, and we've seen it with players getting banged up. And then being way less owned the next game. So, for example, Anthony Davis had back spasms that game before in Portland, and then came out and was 7% owned. Now, sure, everyone was super, super low owned, but you know what I'm saying, right? It just most of the time it will lower the ownership. So I don't think Jimmy will be as high owned on this slate. Sure, does the shoulder injury worry me a little bit? Yeah, it does. But if it's going to drop the ownership a lot, then I like him even more. Because on a slate like this, ownership matters a lot. I'm only playing GPP, so I'm going to be breaking this down basically in just a tournament mindset and a GPP mindset. So I think the ownership won't be as high on him due to that shoulder injury. So yeah, I like Jimmy. If everything goes right, he'll play about 38 minutes. And this is not... They're not playing the Pacers, right? So I think they could even get extended a little bit more. Maybe we see 40 minutes from Jimmy. Maybe we see close to 40 from Bam. Maybe we see close to 40 from Dragic, right? Because this is not they are underdogs here in this game. So I could see them getting extended slightly here. So I do like Jimmy a good amount there at 8-1. I also like Bam at 7-7. My concern with Bam Adebayo is he is going to be on Giannis a lot defensively. So It's a really tricky one because I am worried about some foul trouble. If he can stay out of foul trouble, like I think he could crush the 7.7K price point. But I feel a little bit more comfortable. I think there's a smaller chance that Jimmy Butler gets in foul trouble as compared to Bam Adebayo. So, but Jimmy's dealing with a shoulder injury. So, I mean, they're almost at even playing field with Bam and Jimmy. Both are very similar prices. It's a tricky one. I like both a lot. Can you play both Bam and Jimmy together? I think you can. A couple people have messaged me about playing 3 Miami Heat guys. I think that's viable on a slate like this because the value is very minimal. So, sure, right? A guy like Jay Crowder kind of stands out. We'll get to him. A guy like Tyler Hero is viable. So I like the upside on Bam. My one concern is I think there's a little bit of foul trouble risk if he's going to be guarding Giannis a lot. Goran Dragic at 6'6", so I think he flies under the radar on this Miami team. I mean, I think people will probably try to get to one of either Jimmy or Bam, and maybe Dragic flies. Maybe he doesn't get as much ownership and flies under the radar a bit. So I like him. I mentioned this in my video. This is not the same Goran Dragic as in the regular season. He's starting and playing 35 minutes, and maybe he even gets a few extra in a game that they are not favorites. So I really like Goran Dragic at 6'6". I think the price scares some people away. He was pretty low owned that last slate. I don't think he's going to be that high owned in this one, but if he continues to play 35 minutes a game, I like him. He's a do-it-all guy. He can get you the assists. He can get some rebounds, and obviously a good scorer. So I think all 3 Miami Heat guys are very, very viable on this slate. And guys, I'm interested in. That's the direction I'm going in. I'm going more balanced. So I think all 3 of the top 3 Miami guys look good. I have interest in Hero, too, at 5'5". He's going to come off the bench. He'll play 30 to 35 minutes. He's not afraid to score the ball, to shoot the ball. So is he my favorite, point per dollar play? No, but I have no issue getting to Hero. Like, he has upside to go for 40 plus if he's shooting the ball really well. And then Duncan Robinson's probably not a guy I'm going to get to a 4.9. Like, could he get extended this game? I think it's possible because they were playing from ahead in every single game in that series against the Pacers. Maybe if they fall behind early in this game, do they extend Duncan Robinson for his scoring, for his 3-point scoring? I think it's possible. Like maybe he gets closer to 30 minutes if they fall behind. But at 4.9, it's not like you're getting him at a great value. So in my opinion, like I'm just not going to get to him. I would feel much more comfortable going to a guy like Tyler Hero than Duncan Robinson. And I would rather get to Jay Crowder over Duncan Robinson too. This is more of a safety play. There's very, very little value on the slate. Crowder's a guy that I think is one of those value plays that I have interest in. He'll play 25-ish minutes. He can get you some rebounds, some assists. He can score the ball. Sure, the floor is probably 15-ish fancy points, but he can get you 30. So there's really not if you look at the other plays around his price, like I prefer him to basically everyone. Like I'm not gonna play Lou Dort over Crowder. I would prefer Crowder probably to a guy like PJ Tucker, even though Tucker plays more minutes. I guess that one would be close, but yeah, Crowder's a guy I like at 4.5. None do not play him. He will not be in the rotation. Kelly Olynyk at 3.9. I think he is viable and he would be the biggest beneficiary if Bam gets in foul trouble. If Bam gets in foul trouble, I think Kelly O could push for over 20 minutes. If that's the case, then obviously he could have a really good day for his price. But right now, I think we're going to get about what we got that last series. Like we're going to get around 15-ish minutes from Kelly O. Can he get you there in 15? Yeah, but he has to have a pretty good shooting day, so he's just like a contrarian value option. What you're hoping for there is, foul trouble with Bam Adebayo. Lastly is Iguodala at 3.5. I'm not super excited about him. I think he will garner some ownership just because, again, there's no value. He'll play 25-ish minutes. He got there the last game because of 4 steals and a block. Probably not going to get that again. So take away those 4 steals and a block, he has 11 fancy points. Tricky one. I mean, I'm okay with it, right? If you're going stars and scrubs or if you need someone that's super cheap, he'll play 25-ish minutes. The floor is low. He probably has a floor of like 8 to 10 fancy points. with upside of, I would say, around 25. So not saying he's out of play, but doesn't really stand out as amazing point per dollar play. And Derek Jones Jr. won't play enough minutes for me to consider him. Bledsoe is out, you guys said. Well, that is good news. I mean, in my opinion, 'cause I like, then that kind of solidifies George Hill. I don't see that yet. Could be missing it. All right, let me just, maybe Fantasy Labs is a little bit slow. Let me go to Bledsoe. I don't see anything yet. So I will go back to Fantasy Labs, and we'll just wait on that just to confirm. So yeah, don't see the Bledsoe confirmation there yet. I'll wait on that. Come back. Yeah, so that's it from Miami. Let's talk about Milwaukee. So Giannis is at 11-4. Question is, are you gonna get to him? Well, if you play Giannis, you're probably going to have to take a shot at least one or two of those really cheap options. So, do you feel comfortable with the value? And is he necessary at a slate like this? Well, and also, Miami has been really good against Giannis defensively. Like, they have shut him down. Now, sure, things could change, obviously, but I don't know if Giannis is a must on the slate because of the lack of value. Can he break the slate at 11-4? I think he can, but not as likely as those games against Orlando. Like, he can go for 70 in this spot, but I think it's less likely against a team like Miami. So, Giannis, if you were comfortable with the value around him, I have absolutely no issue because we're going to get the minutes from him as long as he stays out of foul trouble. We'll get 35 minutes, but the worry is it's just a tougher spot for him. So, my analysis there basically is I like Giannis. Obviously, not a lot of bad things to say about him. It's just, do you feel comfortable with the pieces around him? If you do, then I have absolutely no issue playing Giannis. Middleton's at 7-9. I think if you're not playing Giannis, maybe look to a guy like Middleton. And that's the direction I'm going. Do I feel great about paying 7-9 for Chris Middleton? I don't. But he's a guy that, has picked it up the last 3 games, 38, 39, 48 fantasy points. Obviously, that 48 fantasy point game was a little bit, it helped that Giannis was in foul trouble for a good amount of that fourth quarter. So I don't really think he stands out at this price, but I also don't want to completely avoid Milwaukee. And if I'm fading Giannis, it kind of makes sense to go to a guy like Middleton. Now, do you have to play Giannis or no? You can fade them both. That's viable, right? They run an 11-man rotation. What you would hope for there is like a really, really balanced attack and like all the value plays to do decent. So that's what I think there. Middleton. Bledsoe is the news. We are still waiting on confirmation. Don't have it yet. Let's see. So this changes things, obviously. If he plays, I think he's fine at 5-9. Can still get you there, but the minutes aren't great on him. Like, he'll play 25 to 28 minutes. Again, I think that's okay, but if he's out, then that kind of solidifies George Hill's value. I think George Hill would be the chalk value. Would I play George Hill if Bledsoe's out? I probably would. Even if he doesn't start, I still think the minutes go up a little bit on him, so he would probably be your safest value if Eric Bledsoe is out. Now, sure, the risk is they just add another body to the rotation, and no one's role changes a whole lot, right? But he would be the biggest beneficiary, and I think would be the ultimate chalk if Bledsoe's out. Brolo at 5'3" is just, he has to just threes. So I don't have an issue with him. I just think he's a little bit riskier, and it's not really the best spot. Personally, I would rather get to Steven Adams on OKC. I like the matchup a little bit more there, and Adams is a guy that doesn't necessarily have to score the ball, whereas Brolo, you're relying on his three-point shooting. It's weird, but he is a scoring-dependent center, so I personally give the edge to Steven Adams over Brook Lopez. Not saying Brook Lopez is out of play. Brolo probably has a little bit more upside than Adams because if he's hitting his threes, he can go for 40+, but also I think has maybe a slightly lower floor. Mentioned Hill, again, I think he's probably is your top value if Bledsoe's out. If Bledsoe's out, you could look to a guy like Connaughton, maybe gets a few extra minutes. Does Frank Mason maybe enter the rotation? He's a really good point per minute guy, but that would just be a complete dart throw. Like, if you're playing Frank Mason, that's like a 1 in 20. If you're making like 20 lineups, like a 1 in 20 type deal. Like, that would be a super, super high risk play. Like, there's probably would still be a decent chance he wouldn't even play. Like, DiVincenzo maybe gets a slight boost, but I don't think I want to take a shot there. I'm not playing Marvin Williams either at 3-3. I know he had a decent game last time out, but those 22 minutes were due to Giannis foul trouble. So, I mean, that's really what I got. Bledsoe's out. I would look at George Hill, and then maybe Connaughton, and then a dart throw possibly on Frank Mason, and hope he enters the rotation. But that's really it. All right, let's see. How do we not have this news? Listed out. Okay, Bledsoe listed out. So there it is. George Hill is your value, your chalk value. I think Connaughton becomes slightly more viable. Like, I think he picks up a few extra minutes and is in play at 3-8. And then finally, like, DiVincenzo, Frank Mason are dart throws and GPPs. That's what I got. So let's talk about Houston OKC. Houston, Harden, is he necessary on the slate? Well, it's my same exact analysis as Giannis Antetokounmpo. Do you feel comfortable with the value plays around him? If the answer is yes, then you can play Harden. But I don't know if he's going to break the slate. With Russell Westbrook playing, I think, can he go for 70 plus? Yes, but I think it's less likely with a guy like Russell Westbrook playing. So I don't know if he's necessary on the slate. Again, he can still break the slate, but I think it's less likely when Westbrook is playing. We still don't have the news on if Westbrook's going to be on a minutes limit. He played 24 the last game. Obviously, it was a blowout. We'll see. I'm probably not going to get to Westbrook either way, but if there's no minutes limit, he would become a viable option. But again, you're not really getting him at a discount at 9.7. So the two studs for Houston are just like okay, right? I think they're priced about right. It's just, are you comfortable with the value? I'm not super excited about Eric Gordon. If he's the last piece in your lineup, that's okay, but does take a hit with Westbrook playing. My issue is he is pretty scoring dependent. Now, we haven't seen it yet in this series, but his floor is low. Like, Eric Gordon was a 4 to 4.5K player this season. And he has a really low floor. If his shot is not falling, probably a floor of like 10 to 15 fancy points. I know we haven't seen it yet, but that floor is there. So it's a riskier play for sure. I still think he's in play, but I'm not going to go out of my way to play 6-1 Eric Gordon. And then we get to the wings here for Houston. So Covington had that big game last time out. He shot the ball really well. Also had 3 steals. Feels like chasing a little bit, but I'm not saying he's out of play. Like, he'll play 30-ish minutes at 5'8". You're not really getting him at a discount. I think the ownership will be up after the last game. I wouldn't expect 43 again, but that doesn't make him out of play. So yeah, I'm just okay with Covington. Jeff Green, I'm okay with too, but I like Adams more than I do Jeff Green. I like Steven Adams more than I do Brook Lopez. So all three are similar, but I think I just slightly like the floor a little bit higher with Steven Adams. House at 5-1, I'm going to stay away from. The minutes went way down coming off the bench, only played 28. Maybe got a few extra there because of the blowout, too. So I think he was only on pace for like 25 minutes. I'm not paying 5.1K for House who's going to play 25 minutes. He is scoring dependent. The rebounds have surprisingly been there the last 4 games. But I don't know. I'm not going to get to Daniel House at 5-1. And then Tucker is a viable play at 4-3. I mean, no one's ever going to feel good about playing PJ Tucker. No one. But there's no value. So he'll play 35 to 40 minutes. He still has a floor of 10 fancy points in 40 minutes, but I think he's probably a safer value option for the reason of the minutes will be there as long as he doesn't get ejected like he did last game. He was actually on pace to have a good game. He had 19 fancy points in 21 minutes, so he was on pace of a really, really good game. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine getting to Tucker. I'm not going to get to Rivers and McLemore. They're not going to get enough minutes for me to consider them. Lastly, OKC. So on a small slate, you got to take a stand. I'm taking a stand of I'm really high in the OKC guards. They got blown out the last game. The ownership will drop a bit. It just will. It always happens on teams after they get blown out. You saw with Denver when they got blown out in back-to-back games, and Jamal Murray at 6'8" came in at 25% owned. Jokic came in at 25% owned. we're not going to get that low of ownership, but the ownership will drop on these OKC guards. I like all three again. I was high on them last slate. They completely busted. It's do or die time. They have to win. I'm going right back to the well with the OKC guards. I like all three. CP3 has 50 fantasy point upside. He's a triple-double threat, too. He almost had it the first game. Revenge game, I know I've mentioned that, too. I mean, you can say the same thing with Westbrook and Harden, but I like Chris Paul at 8, too. I think he steps up. I don't think they get blown out again. SGA, well, the question I have is, will he be chalk? If he's chalk, then he's going to bust. If he's going to be low-owned, then he's going to crush, because that's literally how it's been at SGA. No exaggeration. Every single time he's been chalk in the bubble, he is completely busted. I don't even know how he only had 11 fantasy points in 34 minutes. Like, the reason I like SGA is because he'll play about 44 minutes. He'll basically play the entire game. He just did absolutely nothing. For me, though, I like going to guys after they had a bad game, especially when they're chalk, because the ownership is just going to drop. I know a lot of people said this is the last time playing SGA. That's fine. And could he have another bad game? Yeah, but he's going to be lower owned. I'm going right back to the well. I like buying in on players after bad games. I like SGA a good amount because the minutes, and then Schroeder's viable too off the bench. He was on pace to crush and then got ejected. He's probably the riskiest of the bunch because he'll play the least minutes, around 32. But I like all three OKC guards a good amount. Gallinari at 6K is just a super contrarian option. Can he get you there at 6K? Yes, but he has to have a really good shooting day. He's not doing a whole lot in his offense. The floor, I mean, the ownership will be super, super low, but can he break the slate? He has to have a really, really good shooting day. So I'm probably not going to get to Gallo, even though he'll be super low owned. Adams is a guy that I like as probably my favorite center at 5'8". I mean, he was having a good game that last game and then it blew out. He'll play somewhere between 25 to 30 minutes. It's a mismatch for him whenever he's on the court. I just like his floor. Like, I don't think he's going to absolutely kill me, and he can go for 35 plus. Whereas Brook Lopez is maybe the guy that has a lower floor but more upside. So if you're really shooting for that upside in center, it might be Brook Lopez. But if you're going for more of the safer approach, probably Steven Adams. Lou Dort's at 4-1. He's still in play. I mean, he's out there for his defense. He had an absolutely terrible shooting day, 3 of 16. The floor is low. We saw it the last game. I wouldn't expect 6 again. I think we'll get somewhere between like 10 to 20-ish fancy points. So I give the edge to PJ Tucker. I would prefer Jay Crowder to Dort. So not super, super excited about him as a value play. Do not chase the Baisley game. He had most of that production in garbage time, unless you think the game blows out. If you think the game blows out, then you can target Baisley, because he'll play in the blowout. But he had that 30 fantasy point double-double because of the blowout. So I'm not going to go there. The last guy I'll mention is Nerlens Noel. He's not going to play big minutes. This is like a JaVale McGee. It's like a Dwight Howard, right? He'll play around 15 minutes. But he's like a decent point per minute guy. He did have a 5 fantasy point game in 3 games ago, but he can go for 20 plus, right? We saw that second game. So it's a super, super risky play. Like, I'm not really recommending this with confidence, but I think he's in play. And that's what I got here for the 2-game slate. So let's refresh this really quick, and then we'll get to some questions. Yeah, I told you guys my approach. Bucks are starting Hill, Matthews, Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. Yep, so I think George Hill is your chalk value. Can you get away from George Hill? I think it's possible, right? Because you know George Hill in tournaments, even in tournaments, he's going to be the absolute chalk. So there is still a way where George Hill doesn't get you there for it too. But with there being so little value, like if you're making one lineup, I think you play George Hill. If you're playing 5 lineups, maybe fade him in 1, right? Because there's still like a scenario where George Hill doesn't get you there, and you know he's going to be the absolute chalk. Real quick before I get to questions, if you guys enjoy the content, enjoy the live stream, hit that like button. It really helps me out. Also, hit that subscribe button, getting close to, what was it, I think 4.6 thousand subscribers. All right, let's get to it. You can play Baisley either way. I don't think it was only the blowout. He's taking Gallo minutes. I don't know if I agree with that. I guess if you think Baisley will play more in a close game, possible, right? Gallinari did not play well, but it's not going to be the way that I go. Adams sucks. I don't think Adams sucks. I think I mean, if you're shooting for upside, it's probably Brook Lopez because he's a guy that can go for 40 plus. I don't really think Adams can go for 40 plus. So my approach there at center is if you're going for that GPP winning upside, it's probably Brook Lopez. If you're going for more of the safer route, it's probably Steven Adams. Let's see. Core. Yeah, so I'll give you guys my core. Again, I'm going balanced, so let's see. Who do I want to give here? I'll go Chris Paul. Chris Paul, George Hill. Right, George Hill's the chalk value. I'm okay eating the chalk. I think you can fade him if you're making multiple lineups. One lineup, I think you play George Hill, and then I mean I like Jimmy at 8-1. Who else do I want to give here? I think Crowder looks okay at 4-5, so we'll do that for a core. Chris Paul, Jimmy Butler, Jay Crowder, George Hill. I think it looks decent. Again, I like the balanced build, so that's the way that I'm going. Am I scared about fading Giannis Harden? Yes, but I don't know if there's like a good chance they're going to break the slate. It's possible, but there's very, very little value besides a guy like Hill. Again, Hill, Crowder are probably the guys I like the most for value. I don't even mind. I think PJ Tucker would be up there too if you want another value play just because of the minutes with him. Can you fade Greek and Harden? I mean, I am. I'm going balanced. So I think the answer is yes to that. I saw a lot of people saying that they're not playing SGA anymore, so I'm playing him in pretty much all my lineups. It's all about how you're approaching it, right? Can SGA bust again? Of course. Like, I'm worried after the last game for sure, but I'm hoping he gets to the form of the previous 3 games where he went for 40 plus every time. Bam or Jimmy or Chris, pick 2. I'll go Middleton and Jimmy Butler there. Can you play Bam and Jimmy together? Yes, but of those 3, I think you just get to Middleton and Jimmy Butler. Going balanced, let's see. Dragic, Butler, Middleton, Crowder, Tucker, Hill, Gordon, and CP3. Very, very similar to the build that I'm going with. Bam or Middleton, it's a tricky one. I like the upside a bit more with Bam. My worry is I think there's a slight chance you could get some foul trouble. So, tricky question there. I think the upside is a little bit higher in a guy like Bam Adebayo. Butler, Dragic, and Robinson, or Harden, Patsy, and Crowder. Not super excited about Duncan Robinson, to be honest. Patsy is more viable now with no Bledsoe. I'll go the second option. I'll go Harden, Patsy, and Crowder, just because I'm not super excited about Duncan Robinson. My line, George Hill, SGA, Middleton, Crowder, Adams, Dragic, Butler, and Covington. Yep. I mean, again, that's very, very similar to the direction that I'm going to. Bledsoe out. Yep. Adams, Bam, Dragic, SGA, Schroeder, Crowder. Good with me. DiVincenzo, him and he's like a dart throw. I think he probably gets a few extra minutes, or they add a guy like Frank Mason to the rotation. So, it's a really, really risky play in DiVincenzo. Fading Russ, I am fading Russell Westbrook. Olynyk or Pat Connaughton. I think the upside is higher on Olynyk. What you're hoping for there is foul trouble. Pat C, it's just, he does become a little bit more viable, but what I'm worried about is they just add another body to the rotation, and then his role doesn't change a whole lot. So that's a tricky one. Winning lineup, let's see, Dragic, Shea, Jimmy Buckets, Crowder, Bam, CP3, Iggy, and George Hill. Again, that's very, very similar to what I'm doing. Can you play Giannis and Middleton together? I think you can. What you're hoping for there, then, is, yeah, it's viable. You can do it. Let's see, I got Dragic, SGA, Butler, Crowder, Lopez, Hill, Rocco, Paul. No issue. Bam, Jimmy. Yeah, I think it's going to be Jimmy and Chris Middleton there. How does this look, DK? CP3, Schroeder, Butler, Crowder, Adams, Middleton, Turker. Looks good. SGA will be chalk. Team DK just hates them. You think SGA will be chalk? I don't know. Maybe he will. I think the ownership will drop in him a bit. Dragic, Butler, Duncan, or Harder. Okay, I already answered that. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind here. Pat C or Dante DiVincenzo. I feel a little bit more comfortable with the minutes than Pat C. DiVincenzo going to see more minutes, possibly, or they could add another body to the rotation. So he's a little bit riskier. Hill, Schroeder, Butler, Covington, Lopez, SGA, Crowd. Yep, that looks good. Hero, Brolo, or Hill, Dragic. I would go Hill, Dragic there. Gallo, Jeff Green, or House and Covington. Gallo, Jeff Green, House, Covington. Yeah, I don't want to play Daniel House, so I'll go Gallinari and Jeff Green. Not super excited about either option, to be honest. How does it look, DK? CP3, Schroeder, Butler, Crowder, Adams, Hill, Middleton, Tucker. That looks good. Who are you going with at center? I'm getting super risky, and I'm taking the Dart and Nerlens Noel. So that's like my super low-owned value play that I'm just taking a shot on and hoping he gets me there in 15 minutes. I can't believe people fading Westbrook. I don't know if he necessarily stands out. And, the minutes limit, too, we don't have confirmation on that. So Westbrook will be low-owned, for sure. Like, I don't mind Westbrook as a GPP play. He can definitely still get you there in, 30 minutes. Are you confident in the Iguodala play? Not really. I'm okay getting away from Iguodala chalk. If he's, really chalky, I'm fine getting away with that. Iguodala will hit value. Well, he hit value last game because of 4 steals and a block. Green or Lopez, I like the upside a bit more in Brolo. I ended up going with Hill, Matthews, Iggy, Giannis, Tucker, Harden, Crowder, and SGA. So you want stars and scrubs. I mean, you're taking a shot on some riskier options. Wes Matthews is not super excited about that. He has to hit his threes. Iguodala and low floor, but you got Giannis, you got Harden in there, so you just really need Matthews and Iggy to not kill you. Iggy's going to disappoint. Watch. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what the ownership is. SGA or Schroeder? I think the answer is SGA as a safer option because of the minutes, even though he was terrible last game, whereas Schroeder may be the GPP play. It's just a minutes thing there. I'm playing $5. That's a lot. Hill 65 in cash. That's low. I thought he'd be higher than that. If I played cash games, I would have just locked him in. I would have played, 100% George Hill in cash. Super surprised DiVincenzo's not starting. He started every game. Yeah, so I was curious to see maybe he would. So let's go over some ownership, guys. This is in the $100 tournament. Dragic is 50% owned. That's a little bit higher than I thought. I thought he would go maybe a little bit under the radar. Chris Middleton's at 30%. I played him. Do I feel great about it? No, but I couldn't fit Giannis in there, and I wanted to get some Milwaukee exposure, so I went Middleton. Jay Crowder at 48% owned. Not super surprised there. George Hill, 63%. I like that. And Jimmy Butler, 40%. So that's what I got in the early game. Giannis is 75%. Is he? Let's see. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 68% owned. Let's see. So, I mean, people are getting risky with the value. I don't hate that. I'm obviously I'm scared of fading Giannis, but got to take shots on some cheaper guys. So we'll see how it goes. Trying to find some other ownership here. Let's see. Iguodala is 46% owned. That is one I'm okay getting away with. People went to Giannis, they plugged him in, and in order to get Giannis, you have to play a guy like Iguodala. So at almost 50% owned, do I hate Iguodala as a play? No. He'll play 25-ish minutes, but I'm fine getting away from that ownership. Bam Adebayo, 36% owned. And nothing super surprising. I'm a little bit surprised that Giannis was almost 70%, but I get it. People are just going that route and hoping the value gets you there. I just felt a little bit more comfortable with the guys in the mid-range. DiVincenzo, 30% owned. Yeah, I mean, that's a little high, but I get it. I get the play. DiVincenzo probably gets more minutes. You never know, though. They could add another body to the rotation. How many minutes did DiVincenzo? He was only playing 10 to 15-ish. Yeah, about 15. He's a good point per minute guy, so I get the play for sure. Giannis 65%. Yeah, I'm thinking the late game will be low owned. Kind of looking like that. I don't think. I mean, with Giannis being 70% owned, the two Houston guys are going to be low owned. I think one of the OKC guards will get some ownership, but the late game is definitely going to be lower owned for sure. DiVincenzo 15%. Robinson will come through as YOLO. I mean, he has his threes. It's not like I hate the play, but I felt more comfortable with Tyler Hero for a little bit more. Probably felt more comfortable with Jay Crowder for a little less. So all three OKC guards, that's pretty risky. It is possible that all three get you there, but I think the ideal or the optimal build is one or two of the OKC guards if you're going balanced. Hero only 18%. Let's see. Yeah, so it's looking like the late game will be low owned. We'll see how it goes. So only 40% in the $4. Yeah, that's too low. I would have had way more than that if I was making multiple lineups. I think Again, can he still bust? Yes, but there's very, very little value on the slate, so I'm perfectly fine just playing George Hill and move on. Robinson will come. Okay, let's see. Stack the first game because I thought it would have less ownership. Yeah, I mean, I'm slightly surprised of, the ownership was a bit higher in this game. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to get out here, guys. I hope you guys all have a good day. If you don't follow me on Twitter, make sure to do so. I'll keep you guys updated if anything changes, any late scratch or anything crazy like that, late scratches. I'll have a video up for tomorrow's slate later tonight. So good luck, guys. Hope you guys all win some money, and I will see you guys later.